All right, guys, I've got some interesting data to share with you about other vaccines and COVID. And it's something that we knew as scientists and we did talk about. I talked about it a long time ago in my content, but I think it's relevant to bring this up again. So first of all, childhood vaccination during the pandemic in general has dropped, okay? So at 7 months old, we've gone from 81% of children being up to date with their vaccines down to 74%. Again, that can be a lot when you're talking about an entire population. And then for 18 months, only 57% of 18-month-olds are up to date with their vaccination, down from 61%. Some of the most important childhood vaccines that we get are MMR, it protects from measles, mumps, and rubella, and Tdap, which protects from tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, whooping cough. When vaccination rates for these are low in any area, including the US, it's encouraged that adults go get a booster for these. You can get adult boosters, walk-in appointments available at your local pharmacy, CVS, etc. But early on in the pandemic, when compared to the ancestral Wuhan strain, this is a major caveat because we're not dealing with that strain anymore and I don't see any new data, we did find that there is cross protection, especially with T cells, if you've been recently exposed to an MMR vaccine or a Tdap vaccine. It is even hypothesized that this may be the reason why children aren't experiencing quite a severe disease. Although they typically do experience less severe disease with respiratory viruses, recent vaccination with Tdap or MMR may have been helpful. Let me show you some of the papers. This is a great paper in Cell, Protective Heterologous T-cell Immunity in COVID-19 induced by the trivalent MMR and Tdap vaccine antigens. I highly suggest that you guys read through this, but I have, and I find the conclusions quite solid. This is their graphical abstract, and in general, prior vaccination does seem to prevent severe disease or potentially severe disease. With a totally different virus, let's take a look at the science behind that. All right, here we go. Possible cross-reactivity between SARS-CoV-2 proteins CRM197 and proteins in pneumococcal vaccines may protect against symptomatic SARS-CoV-2 disease and death. Now, what they did in this paper, which is really cool, was something called a blast, where you compare different sections of proteins that are long enough for T cells and B cells to recognize between two viruses. So there's rubella, COVID-19, rubella, COVID-19, etc., etc. And they do this with measles as well, and pertussis. So that really shows that there is enough potential overlap between the amino acid sequences that would become epitopes the immune system recognizes to lend cross T cell protection. There are a lot more papers on this, you guys, but in general, it's not a bad idea to go get your booster for other diseases as well. Take care.